Welcome to the Combat Sports in Africa podcast, where we bring you the latest highlights, insights, and stories from the world of African combat sports. The 2024 Junior and Senior International Mixed Martial Arts Federation World Championships took place in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, from November 5th to the 10th. African athletes from Zambia, Angola, and South Africa delivered impressive performances in the senior division, capturing podium finishes and representing the continent on the global MMA stage. Only one African athlete, however, managed to secure a gold medal in the senior division, and she did so in decisive fashion. South Africa's Kiara Fegen claimed the gold medal and title in the lightweight 70.3 kilograms category, showcasing a dominant performance that cemented her place as one of Africa's leading MMA competitors. Back in 2023, Fegen had earned a bronze medal at the IMMAF World Championships in the lightweight 70.3 kilograms division. Then, in April 2024, she went on to achieve double gold at the South African Mixed Martial Arts Championship, winning titles in both the featherweight and lightweight divisions. Today, we bring you an exclusive conversation with Kiara Fegen. In this interview, Garmami dives into her journey at the IMMAF World Championships, asking her to share a walkthrough of her matches and the key moments that led to her triumphant gold medal in the 70 kilograms division. Let's jump right into the interview.
So my first match would be the semi-finals day. I fought Maria Liberal. On that day, my game plan was just to strike a little bit, get in, pressurize them so they would want to do a takedown so I could get to the ground and work for a submission.
How familiar were you with Maria Liberal from Team Angola?
Not too familiar. All I saw is that she was a boxer, and I knew I didn't really want to stand and strike too much with her. So my best bet would be to take her down and win the fight on the ground.
Yeah, you're very prolific on the ground with your submission game and your overall jiu-jitsu approach. Can you give us a bit of a background on your history in MMA and particularly jiu-jitsu?
So I've been doing MMA for about 4 years now, and I've been doing jiu-jitsu for about 10 years. So I'm quite good on the ground. I've spent most of my life competing in jiu-jitsu. I started when I was 14, and I started competing 4 months after I started jiu-jitsu.
What interested you in the sport initially? What brought you into the sport of jiu-jitsu?
So I was being bullied at school, and I asked my dad to teach me to defend myself, and he ended up taking me to a jiu-jitsu gym. And then I didn't really like it at first, but after I did my first comp, I fell in love, and I ended up competing all the time.
Very interesting. And obviously it's a huge asset to your game, because I was looking at your previous, your overall record, and most of your matches, if not all, I believe, have been won via submission, if it's not an arm bar or a variation of a rear naked choke or whatever other choke. So you're very effective with jiu-jitsu, but obviously you're in the sport of mixed martial arts, and there's more to the game than just submissions. But leading on to, so you beat the Angolan and you go into the finals. Tell us about the finals, please.
So I was quite stressed for the finals. I knew that Iris was quite good both standing and on the ground, I had heard. But it's after watching her fight on the semi-finals day, I felt a little bit better. So I saw gaps in her game where I could potentially take the win. And I kind of put the pressure on her until she made a mistake that I could capitalize on.
Can you elaborate on the mistake that was made?
So when I was putting pressure on her, she shot, but she didn't do a proper shoot. And she left her head open for me to get the ninja choke.
Okay. And she's, of course, a former world champion herself, and you beat her, and you've captured the gold. Tell us, let's go back to last year's tournament. Let's do a comparative analysis. What did you learn from last year's tournament, and how did that help you going into this year's?
So with last year's tournament, I had never fought 2 days in a row before. So that was something new for me, and I wasn't very familiar with it. And when I fought Gloria da Costa on that semifinals day, I think I was a bit just overwhelmed, and she ended up being the better person and coming out with the win that day. And she deserved it. She did really well. And I knew that I had to get some practice. So this year I did another tournament where I fought 2 different weight divisions just so I could fight 2 days in a row to get used to it.
Fascinating. Can you tell us a bit more about that? Re-explain that again. So you fought.
So for nationals in SA, I fought at featherweight and at lightweight, so I could fight 2 days in a row, just so I could get a better feel of it.
And how did it feel?
It was a bit tiring. I went 3 rounds the first day, and I got the submission in the 3rd round, and I took a bit of a fall and injured myself, and I had to fight again the 2nd day in the lightweight division. So it wasn't too bad. It helps me understand myself a bit more in terms of fighting more than once in a row.
Very interesting. Overall, your experience at the Worlds this year, what did it mean for you to capture the gold, to make the podium, to capture the gold, and to also get the belt now, right? Do they have new belts for the champions? Yeah. What did it all mean for you in your journey as far as mixed martial arts?
It's so unreal because I've been working for this now for about 2 years. I think that's been my main goal. The whole of last year, I wanted to work for golds, and I ended up walking away with bronze. And then this year, I was like, I have to walk away with gold because I want to end my amateur career on a high note.
So you're ending your amateur career as far as will we see you in future IMMAF Worlds, or is this it for you?
I think that this is it for me. This is pretty much as high as I can go in an amateur, and my record's already so high that throughout the rest of the year, no one else is pretty much willing to fight me. So my next step is to go pro.
Fascinating. So you're saying no one currently wants to fight you in South Africa. Is that correct?
Pretty much. There's been a few girls that want to fight me, but the matchups don't really make sense. Because my last opponent, she was 1-1, and I was 8-1. So it doesn't really make sense because it doesn't challenge me as much as I want to be challenged.
What's the next step? How are you planning to transition to the professional leagues? Are you doing any outreach to these big promotions? Do you have a manager? How does that work?
So I do have a manager. We're going to have a bit of a meeting and talk a bit, and we have our eyes on a promotion, but I'm not going to give too much away yet. We'll speak to the promotion tomorrow and see how they feel about it. And then by next year, I might be looking at going pro.
Fascinating. What between now and then, what are you working on to further your overall MMA game? Obviously, you won both of your matches at the Worlds via submission. You're very dominant in that aspect of the game. What else are you looking to explore or add on to kind of augment your overall approach?
So in preparation for this Worlds, I've added pretty much everything I can add to my game. I've started wrestling classes. I do kickboxing. I do boxing. I do the sparring rounds on Fridays. I've gone from 3 sessions a week to 13 sessions a week.
Wow.
So there's not much I can add to try and better it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Can you paint a picture of professional mixed martial arts in South Africa? Obviously, as fans of the sport, we're familiar with it, but kind of educate us quickly, if you don't mind, on the current state of the sport, both amateur and pro.
So there's a few promotions that are trying their best to help the amateurs feel more professional and try and get us feeling that there's a bigger limelight on us instead of having us get this big shock when we moved to pro. But the only thing is we've only really got one pro promotion at the moment, and that's pretty much EFC.
Right.
Yeah, so the goal is hopefully to get more pro promotions, because I know Versus is also going pro, and they've had one pro event so far. So I think the goal is pretty much just to, as a country, support the MMA amateurs and pros, because our country doesn't really support MMA that much. They support Dricus, and Dricus being in the UFC, but they're not too focused on other MMA fighters.
Now, if there's one piece of advice you'd like to give to any aspiring, mixed martial artist, male or female in your country, what would that be?
Man, you gotta put the time in. There's no trick to it. You can't cheat your way to the top, and you might not always get it the first time, but you gotta keep trying, and you really can't. You can't try and cheat your way to the top. You have to. The mat doesn't lie, and you have to be training. You can't try and find shortcuts to get where you want to be.
Now, you were the team captain for Team South Africa at the Worlds. What sort of feedback and, what are people saying, your friends, your family, your whole community, now that you've made the podium and you are a world champion, a gold medalist at the international level? Well, what sort of feedback are you getting from people?
So many people are proud of me, and I'm so grateful to have all of these people in my corner and in my life. They know how hard I have been working for this, and I came back from a career-stopping injury, and now I've made it to a world champion. Like, I've become a world champion, and I think they're just proud of me, because they were worried I would never go back to it.
Sorry, can you tell us a bit more about the career injury you're referencing? Was it at the Continental Championship?
It was a jiu-jitsu competition, and okay. I was in 50-50, and this girl drove forward, and she popped my knee.
Wow.
So I actually ended up missing the Worlds in 2022 because I had to have surgery. Like
full reconstructive knee surgery?
Yes, that is correct. Full reconstruction.
Incredible. Well, Kiera, thank you very much for joining us here on the Combat Sports in Africa podcast. Obviously, I'm interviewing you from Africa, not from Africa, pardon me, from Canada, but this podcast is the Combat Sports in Africa podcast. And, this sport is international, and obviously making it to the podium there is a major move for anyone, whether they pursue professional MMA or not. So we want to congratulate you on your spectacular finish. Both matches via submission, extremely dominant. We look forward to seeing more of you down the road. Are there any last words you want to share with us?
I just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm super blessed, and I'm so grateful for my team. I really couldn't have done this without the people in my life.
Do you want to tell us which gyms you're fighting out of?
So I fight out of House of Tinkerbell and Art Suave Jiu-Jitsu.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Kiera. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much. You too.
That's a wrap for today's episode. Thanks for tuning in to Combat Sports in Africa. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe and share. And be sure to follow Combat Sports in Africa on Instagram and Facebook for more updates. Until next time, keep following African MMA and combat sports.